Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into a truly wild tale from Australia, the Great Emu War.
Yes, you heard that right, war against birds. It's a story filled with humor, history, and a touch of absurdity. So, grab your popcorn, sit back, and let's jump right into this bizarre chapter of Australian history. Let's set the scene.
The year is 1932.
Australia is recovering from the Great Depression, a time when many people struggled to find work and make ends meet. Farmers were especially hit hard. In Western Australia, they faced not just economic hardship, but a new threat, a massive invasion of emus.
These farmers were trying to grow wheat, hoping to provide for their families and contribute to the economy.
But they were not prepared for what was about to happen. Emus, those large flightless birds, were hungry and determined.
They began descending on farms in droves, trampling through fields and devouring crops like it was an all-you-can-eat buffet.
Imagine the frustration of farmers watching their hard work being destroyed by a flock of birds.
Now, let's talk a bit about these emus.
They can stand over 6 feet tall and weigh up to 100 pounds. With long legs and a strong body, they are built for speed.
And they are surprisingly smart.
The emus saw the open wheat fields as their personal dining hall, and they were not going to leave easily. As the emus wreaked havoc, the farmers knew they had to take action. They tried everything, building fences, setting traps, and making loud noises to scare the birds away.
But the emus were clever.
They would jump over fences, sneak around traps, and ignore the noises.
It was as if they were plotting a strategy to defeat the farmers.
Frustrated and desperate, the farmers reached out to the government for help.
They explained the situation, pleading for assistance against this feathery foe.
In response, the government decided to send in the military.
Yes, soldiers with rifles and a mission to combat the emu invasion.
The military thought this would be a straightforward operation.
They believed they could easily take care of the emu problem.
After all, how hard could it be to catch a bird?
Spoiler alert, it turned out to be much harder than they thought. The soldiers arrived in the town of Campion, ready for action. They set up camp and prepared for battle, armed with rifles and machine guns.
They were confident that they would quickly eliminate the emu threat. But when they encountered the emus for the first time, things began to go awry. When the soldiers spotted a large group of emus, they charged in, rifles at the ready. But instead of being scared, the emus scattered in all directions.
These birds were fast like Olympic sprinters on a mission. The soldiers quickly realized they had underestimated their opponent. The soldiers tried to fire at the emus, but the birds were so quick and agile. They zigzagged and darted around, making it almost impossible to hit them.
It was like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. Frustration began to set in. The soldiers were not only missing their targets,
they were also losing their confidence.
After several days of chasing emus, they had only managed to take down a handful. It was becoming clear that this was not going to be the easy victory they had imagined. After several failed attempts, the soldiers decided they needed a new strategy.
They decided to use machine guns.
Yes, that's right.
They set up a machine gun in a truck and tried to chase down the emus. Sounds like a solid plan, right?
Well, not really.
As the soldiers fired away from the truck, the emus continued to run away, zigzagging and dodging the bullets like they were in a dance-off.
It was like a scene from a slapstick comedy.
Despite their best efforts, the soldiers only managed to take down a few more emus.
The Great Emu War quickly became a laughingstock.
Newspapers across Australia reported on the war against the emus, poking fun at how the soldiers were losing to birds. Headlines read things like, "Emus outmaneuver soldiers."
It was a classic case of man versus nature, and nature was winning. As the days turned into weeks, the soldiers faced one defeat after another. They tried everything: roadblocks, ambushes, you name it, but nothing seemed to work.
The emus were just too clever. By December of 1932, the Great Emu War was officially over.
The soldiers had given up, realizing they couldn't beat a bunch of birds. The emus emerged victorious, and the farmers were left to deal with the aftermath. So, what happened next? The government decided to take a different approach to the emu problem.
Instead of sending in the military, they began to look for more effective methods to protect crops.
This included building better fences and using other non-lethal methods to deter the emu. The emus, meanwhile, continued to thrive in the wild. It turned out that the Great Emu War had become more of a humorous anecdote than a serious conflict. The farmers had to adapt, and many learned to coexist with the emus rather than fight against them. The story of the Great Emu War became a quirky part of Australian folklore.
It's a humorous example of government intervention gone wrong.
Even today, people still talk about it, sharing laughs over how the soldiers were outsmarted by birds.
Let's take a moment to share some fun facts about emus.
Did you know that emus can run up to 30 miles per hour? That's faster than most humans.
They also have excellent eyesight, which help them evade the soldiers, and they are known for their unique vocalizations, making deep booming sounds that can be heard over long distances. Another interesting fact: emus are one of the largest birds in the world. They belong to a group of birds called ratites, which also includes ostriches and kiwis.
These birds have tiny wings and can't fly, but they make up for it with their impressive speed and agility on the ground.
Now, you might be wondering if there are any lessons we can take away from the Great Emu War. Well, for one, it shows us the importance of understanding nature and wildlife. The soldiers underestimated the emus, thinking they could easily control them.
It teaches us to respect the animals we share our planet with. Another lesson is about problem solving. Sometimes the most straightforward solutions are not the best.
The soldiers tried to tackle the problem with force, but what they really needed was a smarter, more creative approach. It's a reminder that in life, thinking outside the box can lead to better results.
The Great Emu War has also found its way into popular culture. You can find emu-themed merchandise, books, and even references in television shows.
It's become a part of Australian identity, celebrated in a light-hearted manner.
In schools, students learn about the Emu War as part of their history curriculum. It's a fun way to engage young minds, teaching them about wildlife management, conflict resolution, and, of course, the importance of humor in history. Today, emus are still a common sight in Australia.
They roam freely in the wild, often spotted in rural areas and national parks. They are an important part of the Australian ecosystem, and their presence serves as a reminder of the unique wildlife found on this continent.
Many farmers have learned to coexist with emus, understanding their habits and behaviors. Some even embrace the emus, seeing them as a part of the landscape rather than a threat to their crops. It's a beautiful example of how we can adapt and find harmony with nature. The Great Emu War teaches us that history doesn't always have to be serious.
Sometimes the most memorable stories come from the most unexpected places.
The image of soldiers battling birds has become a symbol of humor in Australian history, reminding us to find laughter even in challenging situations.
It's also a testament to the resilience of both humans and animals.
While the soldiers may have lost the battle, the story of their defeat has lived on, providing entertainment and lessons for generations. Thanks for joining us on this wild ride through the Great Emu War. If you enjoyed this funny tale from history, give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more quirky stories. And let us know in the comments what's the craziest story you've heard.
We can't wait to hear from you.
See you next time.